Good morning, everyone. Welcome to live video again with the Northern Affinity. Pleased to say that I'm here this morning with Sarah Badley from the HR Department Leeds South. I'll get Sarah to introduce herself in a second. As always, with our live videos, we're on LinkedIn, Facebook. It'll be for people who are watching it maybe afterwards as well. It's going to be available on the YouTube channel as well as the various social media. If you do have any questions as we're going through, please feel free to put them in the comments, and I'm sure Sarah will try to answer them the best she can. If between us, we'll do that. Again, if people are watching the replay, feel free to put questions in as well, and between us, we'll answer that afterwards. I'm sure to try and help with anything you have. So as I mentioned, Sarah's from the HR department, so obviously outsourced HR is what she does. It's been a very interesting time over the last few weeks, I think, for obviously for everybody, but particularly anyone involved in people and HR within business. So before we go to the questions, Sarah, if you could kind of introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we can go from there, if that's all right.
Thanks, Michael. Good morning. So the HR department, and we're a business that supports SMEs. So it's helping SMEs with those everyday people management challenges, but also helping to put into plans to help improve performance through positive interventions with people management as well. So appraisals, management, leadership training, but really just untangling legislation quite a lot, helping sure that clients stay on the right side of what's good for their business and what's right for their people.
Absolutely. So obviously we are where we are at the moment, and we're all know it's week 8, I think, now of since we went into lockdown. So how's it been for you in general, then, the whole lockdown experience?
Do you know, I have to say that they're some of the fastest 8 weeks of my life, actually. It's hard to believe it's been 8 weeks. To some extent, I could say it's been business as normal, but it hasn't, because not all of my clients want to speak to me on the same day, at the same time, on the same hour normally. So it's been quite challenging being able to offer the support that I so passionately like to offer my clients, and people who are non-clients ringing me and asking. So it's been a busy time. The last 8 weeks, not all about the business. My dad's 84. He's social shielded by my mum, and she's been at it 10 weeks now because she was watching the news and decided it was the right thing to do. Yep. So I'd love to drive over to the other side of West Yorkshire and see my family. Can't wait to be able to start to do things like that. And one of those phrases that we kind of all say these days, there are good days and there are bad days. And I get so involved with my clients, so involved with their businesses. It's difficult not to absorb a lot of what's going on out there on a personal level. So that's true honesty from me, that I take on board the problems, and there's lots of challenges, lots of difficulties. But I've had some really good positive clients as well, that everything's carried on as normal. So it's been a bit of a mix in the last 8 weeks, to say the least.
Of course. Now one question I keep meaning to ask you, Sarah, is actually, have you heard of the word furlough before this all started?
No, I haven't. And last night, my husband and I watched an American film, and I'm rubbish at film names, so don't ask me the name. It's about Bonnie and Clyde, actually, on Netflix. And they kept using the word furlough. It was driving me mad. Where's this word? But it's been an American word. It's an American word. It's a genuine American term, typically be used during spring term and something, laying staff off seasonally. You furlough them. So it's a live word. It's been a real word in America, but I can't wait to get it out of my vocabulary again as soon as possible.
Absolutely. How have you, on a serious note, how have you found the whole furlough experience from an HR perspective then for businesses? How, have they found it generally positive?
Yeah, I mean, it's been challenging, hasn't it? So it's been a lifeline for many, many businesses. The furlough, as it was introduced, we needed something to help industries. We needed something to help businesses, and it's really helped prop a lot of businesses up. I'm probably 50-50 actually. 50% of my clients never stopped trading, never stopped operating, didn't need to access furlough. Some of them never wanted to, but the supply chain dried up. The wagons that delivered their goods to make their products stopped arriving, so they had no choice. They were affected and impacted by COVID-19. So it's really helped prop businesses up. I think it's been a real positive intervention. There could be things we could have done differently. Part furlough might have supported both the government, the economy, and the workforce. That's not how it was introduced. I hope that's one of the changes that it brings in August.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one of the things that's kind of the theme about all the conversations I'm having at the moment is that what's happened has probably maybe accelerated change that was probably happening, but it's going to be happening quicker. So how do you think the whole world of people looking after their people will change? Obviously, short term we kind of know about, maybe a bit more about the medium term. How do you think businesses will react?
I know you kind of asked me in advance to think about some of the things, what had been happening in the last 2 months and what had been the biggest challenge. And I actually wrote down change, that change management itself and managing change has been, in my opinion, the biggest challenge, because change doesn't normally happen for every business in every town all at the same time and for every employee. So in an entire business organisation, you'd make change programmes in small pockets that affect some of the business, but not all of the business. And actually my clients were not only having to cope with COVID-19, with absence management, with furlough, but with employee home working. So clients that have never had home working set up before. So we need to build more resilience around change management going forward. Teach and train and leadership development skills for such a long time, all of my HR career, and we talk about the change curve and entering that phase of shock and denial, and then acceptance before moving through and on through the change. We haven't had that luxury in the last 2 months to follow that change curve. It was overnight, and I think the reality will be that as a country, as an organisation, as an individual, we need to get to better understanding, awareness that this isn't going to be the first and the last time that change comes upon us all that quickly and that fast.
No, absolutely. So, I mean, you mentioned there the kind of the challenges. What do you see as the kind of main challenges for I guess for you, but also for the customers or clients that you work with, ongoing for the foreseeable, I guess?
We could look the short term and the long term. So, interestingly enough, and controversial maybe, but I'd say one of my clients' biggest challenges has been getting employees to turn up to work, especially the clients that have carried on trading. But I can understand the employees' position as well, because there's been a lot of fear out there. So it's managing that kind of repairing of feelings, of relationships between employees and clients. And there's been a lot of feeling of inequity within companies, but also across companies. So if your friend or your next door neighbour or your sister, or your brother, they were on furlough, but you were still going to work, we're going to come out of this with a very tired half of the population and another half of the population that have got to get back into the swing of things. And that's the reality. When everybody's had any time off work, it takes a while for that productivity that motivation to come back. So there's a myriad of issues around, still dealing with morale, and the psychological contract between our employees is going to need some repairing and fixing. And the truth, and again, controversial but real, HR, there's going to be some more cost cut-ins, and there's going to be some difficult decisions, and furlough, unfortunately, won't have saved every business, and there'll be some redundancy programs to come. And then that always brings, again, more morale issues, some survivor syndrome, why me, why them. It's going to be a slow journey back to what we can, identify as any kind of sense of what came before. It really is. It's a slow journey. A lot of repairing, a lot of relationship and communication skills, leadership skills going to be really, really, really key. So I'm an employee relations expert, and employment law, to be honest, is quite generous in favour of businesses. If businesses know the processes to follow, what's affordable, what's manageable under employment law, is generally a lot wider than what businesses realise. But that's not the answer. That's not the way we run businesses efficiently, by applying the letter of the law. We've got to think about this communication, this engagement, and that's going to be the challenging side going back.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point you make there about the different experiences everybody has and have had through this, like I said, whether it's work or personal as well. It's so different. I mean, the message at the start was kind of we're all in this together type of stuff, which is, we're all in this very similar. I guess the scenario's same, but the experiences, whether it's too many people in your house or not enough people in your house, too much work, too little work, whatever it might be, the school's sending loads of work back, the school's sending no work. Everybody's actually experience is different. I think it's a real big challenge for businesses when we do start getting back to normal, is how they handle that, because their employees will have such different experiences.
Yeah, I mean, that you hit on a really key point there around change management again. So I kind of said to a few clients, when we entered into COVID-19, the communication was group messages. The communication was tell everybody everything at once. But once you get through that first communication, no, you're not all in it together. Once you've passed that first announcement that everybody receives exactly the same, each individual circumstances are different. And therefore, you change the way that you manage, the way that you lead individuals has to adapt and vary. So we're not all in it together. It's a really good point for you to pick up on. We've all gone through COVID-19, but very, very differently.
Absolutely. So I kind of want to move on to kind of more general, talk about normal stuff, normal world. So obviously what you provide is an outsourced HR service. And I know there's obviously a lot of things involved in that. So why would businesses come to someone like yourself for outsourced as opposed to getting someone in to work with a business? And I know every case is slightly different, but generally speaking, what would be the rationale for it?
So various different reasons. So I work with a lot of clients on a retained kind of service, and that retained service is a good peace of mind for a lot of clients. So with that package, we offer unlimited advice, unlimited email support, contracts of employment, staff handbooks, but also legal expenses insurance. So using an outsourced advice service means that quite often covered for the eventuality of an employee, sadly, unfortunately, feeling that they need to pursue a tribunal claim. So with our service, customers are automatically covered for the cost and expenses of managing that tribunal process, that tribunal claim. And it can be project work. So small organisations tend to want the full outsourced service. Larger organisations, I've been in an auditor, done some audits of HR functions and provided feedback, management training and development, project work interventions, or appraisals and performance management systems. So typically my clients would be 5 to 50 employees. And I have provided services for clients with much larger workforces, and that tends to be on the ad hoc basis. I always sit here, I carry the title HR department, but I've been in employee relations and employment law all of my kind of career. So even with a HR on-site presence, that HR person doesn't always have the time to learn the expertise of employment legislation. So sometimes an outsource on top of an in-house HR service is because of the expertise of the legal protection, the legal knowledge as well.
Okay, makes sense. Now, one other thing I wanted to ask you about actually regarding disc profiling. Now, slight plug here at our next Northern Affinity meeting, a week on Friday, you're going to give a bit more detail on this, so don't give too much away. But do you want to kind of just explain what it is and the kind of, I guess, the benefits of it for people as well?
So disc profiling, it was originally kind of a theory based back in the 1930s. So it's been in existence a very, very long time. It's a psychological framework to try and understand our kind of behaviours and traits and how we present our behaviours in and around other people. I was thinking about this again this morning, and when I was very, very early, my first appointment as a HR manager was called personnel manager back in Morrison's. But my own regional manager said to me, kind of, Sarah, do you know that you kind of just walked across the entire shop floor of Morrison's and didn't speak to a single person? And that was my early intervention in feedback of my own profile. So that awareness, that feedback then for me helped me understand the importance of my own management style and leadership. And that's what DISC profiling is all about. It's understanding yourself to make sure that you make the best impact and the best relationships with other people. And the D, the I, the S and the C all stand for different aspects of the profiling. So the D is dominance, the I is influence. Again, not giving too much away, but there's no right or wrong to the profiling. So nobody's got a good profile, nobody's got a bad profile. It really is just all about understanding your own behaviours and how they can be seen by other people, and your own traits and how they can be seen by other people, and how you can help modify those a little bit to maybe have better working relationships with other people. It's a really good intervention when you've got a new manager, a new leader. That's a really good time to introduce it, or a newly formed team. So there may be experienced leaders and managers, but they're coming together in a new business or a new board of directors. Equally quite a good intervention if there's been a grievance between a line manager maybe and an employee, so that you can help to build awareness that actually it's just personality. And this is how we can get by it with a few adaptations, and a little change here and there can make a difference.
Absolutely. I think kind of it goes a bit back to a point we made earlier about this idea that everybody's different and are experiencing different things, and it's important to do that. So obviously essentially as a managerial tool to understand the people that you work for. Like I'm sure, like anything, it's not a perfect thing. It doesn't tell you everything about someone's personality, but it gives you a good starting point. And I guess for people and businesses managing people in the next few months, a tool like that can be quite effective.
Absolutely. I mean, there's certain letters. If you're high in one of the factors, so if you're high in S, for example, it's highly likely that you might need a little bit more support through change than somebody that's a high D. So our high Ds will get straight in, stuck in. Let's just do it. Let's just get on with it. And our high S individuals might need a little bit more awareness, communication, understanding. That doesn't mean they're averse to change or they're not going to get through change. But it just helps understand what motivates an individual and how you can best help them manage themselves at work.
Absolutely. So one final question for me, actually, Sarah, is I think I kind of touched on it earlier about this kind of changing in trend of variation of trends, actually, more accurately. So kind of thinking from the employee side of things, what do you think will be important to employees over the next few years? Now, pay is always important for anyone, but kind of the other stuff. Where are we going in terms of what businesses need to offer to be able to get the best people?
I think we're kind of looking at how people are feeling at the moment a lot more than we ever used to do. Flexibility. So I know you're a big advocate of championing the idea of flexible working, and that's versus home working. So at the moment we've done a lot of home working, but it's not normal, the home working that most people are doing. I mean, I've converted my bedroom here into an office, so this is a work environment for me, but some people stuck at the dining room table, that's not home working, that's not going to work long term. But we need to think about more flexible ways of being able to support people's how we manage our work life and our home life. And I am one of those people who's not a fan of the word work-life balance, because by using the word balance, we suggest that there is such a thing as a work-life balance. We just need to have a synergy, a work-life synergy, where they fit together better maybe than they currently do. I think people are going to be wanting more individual experiences. So we can't, as I said at the beginning, you can manage at the start en masse, but eventually we have to start to manage the individual, and what one person wants won't be the same as another. We will see more flexible working. We will see more concern over, we're seeing it now, the concern over the environment. And if only we cut the road traffic down through flexible working options, it'd make a difference. And I think people's values may change through this. So we were sadly all facing, so many people have lost loved ones that there's been a lot of people looking at what's important to them right now, and going to work and earning money, it's not the be all and end all. There's a lot more to life than that. But I think it's cyclical as well, and I do think it's age related, as she says, as a HR professional, them putting age discrimination on the table. I do think our values change as people age, and different age, eras bring different values. So I think I keep using the word value. We're going to be a lot more value driven. We need to be more flexible. We need to be more considerate of HR policies based on individuals rather than teams going forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, one of the things that, like you, I'm not a fan of the phrase work-life balance, because not particularly because of the phrase, but more people associate it to time. So they think about how many hours they are working, whereas actually it's about quality. If you could work 12 hours a day and still have some quality time with the family, or you could work 12 hours a day and get no quality work time. I think the focus should go away from time to quality. That's one of the things. Like I said, it's not so much about the phraseology; it's more what people think about. For me, that's the issue. But I'm agreeing with you. I think the value element of it will have been highlighted by this current situation. So yeah, interesting times, I would imagine, in the HR world.
Always, it's and it's always been a challenging and interesting career option that I chose for myself. It brings it very different scenarios on a daily basis, which are always quite exciting at times and energizing. So yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward.
Absolutely. Well, everybody's different. That's the key, isn't it? There's no one rule for it. So yeah. So finally, Sarah, if anyone wants to kind of speak to you, get a hold of you, or find out a bit more, where's the kind of best places to look?
To try and get hold of me. So I'm on, my LinkedIn profile's up to date. There's the HR Department Leeds South Facebook page as well, but the website as well. So HR Department Leeds South. But LinkedIn messaging me is probably the best place to find me. I'm just on there under my own Sarah Bradley rather than the business page. So yeah, we're trying to help as many SMEs as we can at the moment. So we've got an unusual offer as well at the moment to have a fixed fee service for short term, just to help people through this lockdown situation, which is a different kind of approach. For us at the HR department, we've not really done that short term service offer before.
Brilliant. Good to hear, Sarah. Well, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, like I said, if anybody, for whatever reason, I'm sure you can find Sarah, but if you can't, please do let us know. Northern Affinity, we've got Sarah's details. She's got a profile on our website, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, Sarah. It's been really interesting and really useful.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for inviting me to talk to you today.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.